Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
It is Monday.
It is Monday, and it is proving to be a Monday.
All day long.
All day
and
long.
it's only 10 a.m. Well, what is it? Like 10:05. Thanks for your patience.
Absolutely. So, hey, everybody. How's it going today? Let's see who we got on. Oh, I did it again. I will never stop doing
okay,
that.
everyone knows. 3 dots, Flynn. Well, this morning we have Blackjack, Brickanista. Hey, Naomi.
Christopher Chalice is here, all the way from the UK. How's it going? Glenn Copeland.
Glenn Copeland.
Hooded One is here. Imperial Brick Trooper. Insane Lego Fan. Jason Seacrest. Hey, welcome back. JMW Music. Johnny Cat's here.
Yay,
hey,
Johnny.
Minifig Chick and Moto, of course.
Our mods, our wonderful mods and friends, Mini Chicken Moto.
Orange Bricks, good to see you. From Canada, Sadie is here. Shane Levin, Steve Parmley. Hey, the Mowgli, Zach Martinez, Wild Orson. How's it going, Orson? Kim is here, of course.
Yay, Kim.
It wouldn't be a stream without Kim. There's, it was just all the. I said, where's Wilfred? I'm so used to saying bonjour to Wilfred. I hope, I'm so used to him being here. Anyway, hey, Marilyn's here too. How's it going? Corey Nickelhome. Yeah,
at the office, just saying hi. Yeah,
good to
today is a busy Monday for me at the office, and I'm actually not going to be able to stay for the rest of the stream. I'll get us through sticker time, and then I have to go and do a bunch of detailed stuff in a drawing, which isn't bad for work. I don't mind doing that.
Oh, Wilfred, there you are. Okay, bonjour, Wilfred. Good. I knew you were here. I don't know. For some reason, on the list of participants, it was not. Now you're there. Who knows?
Yep.
Oh, Apples is here. Bill Ward, how's it going?
Algorithm. Always nice to see Bill Ward.
Yeah,
too.
and the thing about this participants list is it's in alphabetical order. So when a new person joins, it just puts them in the list in order.
I know,
and it's really
no idea.
No clue who's joined since or whatever, but oh my goodness.
Well, I tell you what, today, although you probably know this from the social media ad, is going to be my favorite subject, so I'm really sorry to miss it. I'm going to join you for the intermediate, or not intermediate, the next version of this discussion.
the next step beyond.
Yeah, Flynn's going to do an introduction to Technic today, and I think it's so exciting because Technic is kind of the key to making things move in Lego and making them a lot stronger too. So you'll probably see some stuff you know, or maybe you don't know. I'm sure we'll learn stuff today too.
Absolutely. So, well, let's see. What do we got here today?
We got Disney pins. I'm going to wear mine in the office. I'm going back to Dale right there. Did you get him?
Very good.
Almost. I ruined it.
It's always
Dale.
a crapshoot. It's always a crapshoot.
He's having a fuzzy Monday.
It's appropriate.
He's a little off to the side.
Let's see.
And we know Dale because Chip has a chocolate chip nose.
That's true. So I'm wearing my Mad Hatter hat today. Now, I've worn this one before, but it was the green one. This is like I don't know what you call that.
Is it mint?
Mint.
There's not exactly that color in Lego, right?
There's not exactly that color on the world. Planet. It's like some color they made up. I don't know.
I think, did we get these two? These two weren't from the same setup, were they? I just saw these sitting on the shelf, and little teeny space vehicles make me so happy.
Well, you made that one, right?
No, I think this was from a set. I thought I made this one.
I think you made that one. That's what I was, yeah.
But there was one that had a little simple one like what I've made. It's got a little rocker hinge on the bottom so it can fly around.
Steve Parmley says before you go, he wanted to let you know that he bought the book you recommended, Simple Machines, and it's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Minifig Chick just started with that one too. It's great, isn't it? I love how he doesn't... It can be frustrating at times because he doesn't use words, but it really makes you look at what he's doing with the bricks.
Yes.
Cool, I'm so glad.
And, let's see how... Oh, so are we ready for this?
Is it already?
I don't know. It seems like...
Sure, why not?
Oh, it says, Richard, I think that little ship was from a set, too. Maybe it was.
Yeah, I think so. I've made other little speeders like this, but I think this came... There were two little little ships in this set. I'll have to look it up, and we got a couple of astronauts with that. But this is my favorite size of spaceship.
All right, so let's see what we got going on here.
What are we going to our special feature?
Is it that time?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
you look like you were gonna make us more lovely there.
Oh, I don't know. I'm so confused.
All right.
I don't know what's going on.
We're gonna have sticker time show and tell.
Oh, okay.
I have it on good authority.
Oh, there we go.
See, I was right. Isn't it sticker time show and tell?
It's a Monday sticker time show and tell.
Well, you know this one, actually. This one's pretty posh.
Yeah, I looked this one up because I thought we hadn't shared it before.
Yeah, let's see here. I don't think we have. Can I get it to focus there? Look at that.
There we go. So this, now I don't have all the great information like you do, but I do know that this is from the set 41101, the Lego Friends Heart Lake Grand Hotel. And it came with 5 mini dolls, including a male mini doll in a little like bellhop outfit. And then four of the friends.
Oh, where is she? There she is.
So what made this set so amazing, and this was actually a set I got kind of early on. This was one of our early sets because it had like an amazing amount of gold pieces in it, like gold fences and columns and window frames, and it was just like a really, really great set. Mm-hmm. And the stickers were amazing, and it had an elevator, if you can believe that.
I like the numbered the number stickers, because we could use those in an amusement park, right?
Right, and then these, and of course these are all on clear. These ones over here, so you put them on
gold
window
on
pieces.
Clear is great.
It's a beautiful set of stickers. I can't wait to use them in something. We'll see what.
And a stretched limo convertible.
Oh yes, because it came with a limo.
Of course, why not?
It came with a limo. Hey, so actually, real quick, I wanted to show you something. So I know I talk about my friend Dave, the guy who picks bricks.
Oh yeah,
he knows my style, like what the stuff I like. And he had been bringing us some bags of bricks that we had in quarantine for a while, and then of course, we got involved in other things and kind of forgot. Well, I just wanted to show you the update that I was able to make to my Cinderella mech from the other day. I found in a bag of stuff that David picked for me the actual Cinderella clock.
It's almost
midnight. So excited about that. I had a black clock there, and it was like 11:20 or something.
And look at that. The colors go perfect with the glass slipper and the rest of the mech.
Yeah, and then I also found he had pulled these pieces from the Cinderella coach. I only had a couple. I only had 2, and they are kind of discolored. But I found the whole coach, and there's like 8 of them. So I'm going to replace all of these, including these discolored ones. I'm going to replace all of those slopes with the decorated swirly ones. So I'm really excited about that.
Now, you had another idea. Is that something that you care to share with the public, or is it a secret project?
Wait, what's a secret project? What's that?
When you made your Cinderella mech, you had another idea. Is it secret?
Okay, well no,
it can be.
I had this idea.
I think it's a great idea
that I was gonna do. I had this Disney princess piece that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and I don't know. It's just not. It's hilarious, but not necessarily family friendly.
Yeah.
So,
so going in another direction.
I did happen to pull out.
He's been collecting these for years.
So I've got I've got Mulan, Elsa, Snow White, Moana, Ariel, Princess Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, and Tiana. So I have a quorum now. I'm still missing Rapunzel, which is a bummer, and now those sets aren't available.
Oh, I bet you can.
So if
get the
anybody has
Tangled
a
figure.
yeah, I will pay handsomely for a Rapunzel mini doll.
So what will they be doing?
So I want to make mechs for each of them.
Can you?
So I want to make a mech for each
real.
of them, but we'll see. I really had fun.
Right, Disney princess.
I really had
Max.
fun with the princess mech. So, okay. So speaking of
Insane
mechs,
Lego fan moto.
we actually had a couple of
right.
late entries into the slideshow.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad.
From last week. Let's
well, I'm
see.
so glad we can share them.
Rapunzel searching intensifies. Moto says, yes, I'm sure the top search on Google today is going to be Rapunzel mini doll. Oh my goodness.
What a tangled web we weave.
Oh my dear. Okay, so
Because tangled, right? Did you see what I did there?
I did see it and heard it.
Mm-hmm. So this is from Orange Bricks.
Yeah, so this is from Orange Bricks. Really cool. And I see that there is some sideways building there on the legs, which is pretty neat. I really like the colors.
I like all the Technic in the arms. It looks very mechanical and, hydraulic.
Alec. Welcome, Alec Ward. So glad you're able to catch us live. That's awesome. Let's see.
Blackjack says Disney Princess Voltron. A symbol super princess.
Oh my goodness. Hey, Imperial Brick Trooper. So yeah, nice Orange Bricks, nice work. I love the gold propeller. Like I know we have a bunch of those.
Yeah, and is that a helicopter fuselage for the head?
Yeah, it looks like a plane
cool
fuselage
shape
for the head. Very cool. Now I have the we have another one, but I have to access the email.
Oh, the description is on your phone?
Well, yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have another one
on your high-tech media device?
My high-tech media device.
Oh, wow, this one's buff.
Yeah, so here is the other one. And
wow.
Oh no, I'm sorry everybody, I have to access my email. There's so many things. This is from Horned Owl, okay?
Well, I like the backwards legs, almost, bird-like, or like a, not Imperial Walker, but the other guys, the AT-AT.
It's
legs
really
went
cool.
Backwards,
and it's got the big, I love the big, super chunky top, and then and it's very squat and short. It's great. And I really love the purple and orange together. Fantastic.
Yeah, I like how everything is chunky, but it has a great silhouette. Like, it's still really animated and looks like it would be agile.
And of course, I love anything that has those backwards-facing legs, animal legs.
Cool greebling on the legs too. Lots of different kinds of pieces there.
Yeah,
that's great, and it's in a nice action pose.
Yeah, it's really nicely done. And
Moto says it reminds me of Ed 209, ED 209. I don't know that robot.
One. Yes, well, very good.
Right, I think Insane Lego Fan encapsulates it there. My gosh.
It's really good.
Wow, that's really so great. Good. Thank you for sharing both
it's
of those.
It's from RoboCop.
Ah.
So we never, I gotta say, we never got into this. Never got into this the other day with Jermaine, and I meant to, but of course, you go down so many rabbit holes.
Yep.
But so RoboCop is definitely a cyborg. He is, so we were talking about the difference between cyborgs, robots, mechs, and androids.
Okay, is Jamie Summers a cyborg?
Jamie Summers is a cyborg.
And the Bionic Man and Woman.
The Bionic Man, right? And the Bionic Dog.
Max.
Max is also.
Maximilian. Maximilian. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so definitely if you're an organic creature like a human or a dog, and then you get robotic parts. Okay, cyborg.
So there's this raging debate on the internet. It's probably raging. Between 5 people.
Raging.
But no, I looked it up and it actually came up right away. What is the Terminator? I would say that the Terminator is an android.
He's an android.
Because he's a robot that has a skin that looks like human. He's not actually a person who's had technological things added and turned into
He's not a robot. right? He's in the shape of a human, so he's an android.
But he's typically called a cyborg.
Yeah.
Like when you look up like the Terminator online, he's almost always referred to as a cyborg. And then there's
I don't think
funny,
he is, though.
But no, he is an android.
No, and okay, how about fembots?
Fembots are robots.
Fembots are androids, right?
Yes, sorry, yes. Fembots are androids.
But they're not mandroids. They're fembots.
They're fembots. And if you don't know what that is, Google it, because it's hilarious.
Bionic woman fembots. Your time will be well spent.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the best part about those was, like, that was, like, in the old, like in the olden days. Yeah. And my favorite part about the fembots, and I'm not giving anything away by saying this, because I'm sure you've seen the pictures and you'll see it. But, like... The fembots had, and again, we're talking about fembots not from Austin Powers.
No,
we're talking about the real ones from the Bionic Woman, the 70s ones who wore like neck scarves and had like fabulous feathered hair.
We're like a lovely secretary with feathered hair. What happens to her?
So their faces come off, but only like this much of their face. So I guess they can just pop a different face.
No, and then they look like a Norelco razor with lights underneath.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. They look like a Norelco razor. They got these funny little,
and like a little speaker for the mouth.
So good.
Yes, Austin Powers fembots absolutely were. They were amazing as well.
And they were androids.
They were. Yes.
But still. I mean, but that's not what we were talking about here. No, they didn't have the awesome, like, Norelco razor face.
So who does that leave off?
What do you mean?
So we've got, we have cyborgs. We have androids and fembots.
And androids would also be, what were we talking about? The Blade Runner. Blade Runner's androids.
Yeah, so an android doesn't need to know they're an android to be an android.
But what about the...
Data is an android.
Data is an android. Wow, we're going down. But Johnny Five is a robot.
Okay.
Even though Johnny Five is alive, from what I understand.
Yeah, Wally is a robot.
Wally is a robot.
Your Roomba is a robot, right?
Yes.
Because they're not human shaped.
Okay, Moto says Blade Runner are organic, so they're more like bioengineered clones.
So are they cyborgs then? Then maybe they're cyborgs.
C-3PO? Dan Balkin says C-3PO is
an android.
He's an android. Yes.
Yeah, but I guess because the director said he's a droid. He's just a droid.
But that was we were talking about that earlier. Apparently droid is trademarked.
Really? You can't
copywritten. Yeah, it's a copyrighted thing. Copyrighted thing.
Right.
Droid is a Lucas film thing.
Well,
now Disney
so
thing.
didn't we just get to the bottom of this? Where is there a question?
No, the question was really the main question was about the Terminator, just because and I had wanted to ask Jermaine about that just to see what his take on it was.
I think Terminator's an android.
The Terminator is definitely an android. Okay, well, thank goodness that we have settled that.
Whew. Wow, we fixed it for the whole web. And Lego, right?
Yes. So the top two Google searches today will be Rapunzel mini dolls and is the Terminator a cyborg or an android?
I think android.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I think we have a quorum
right on
here. So.
How about us?
That depends on the day.
I don't know. And this is the time when I go and open up and it's all wires inside.
I know. Ha ha ha.
Okay, so what are we doing today?
Technic basics.
Right. So I think we're through our features. I'm gonna hand the gavel over to you.
Okay. Maybe you'll come back for maybe you'll come back for Logan cookie time.
I could do that. Sure.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. I'm going to... Ow, I just hit our down camera. Everything's going to be all...
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll see how...
look, I have to show you, though. For anyone who wasn't with us yesterday, I got my first shipment of Bricklink Duplo. And look what I got. I got these translucent sparkle blue giant bricks. I got 2 really buff rotators that I could put system bricks on top of. This is a different one with square. And look at this. I haven't been able to do anything with it yet.
This is pretty cool.
But in honor of our Technic intro day, check this out. Look at those huge gears.
Wow.
Giant Duplo Technic gears. And then over here, the string is pretty low, or, you know.
Oh, Orson, is it your birthday today? Happy birthday, Orson.
Happy birthday.
Well, we're so glad you're here hanging out. That's awesome.
Well,
right on.
I'm so glad you're here. Right? What trouble can I get into with Duplo Technic? Well, financial trouble for one thing. My goodness.
Oh yeah, it's not cheap.
I'm not buying a ton of it.
It's not cheap.
No.
My goodness.
All right, so there's my transition to Technic. And here, should I bury you with Technic?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
I think I've got a. Okay, so now you'll forgive me because I do teach like Technic basics to kindergartners. So I promise I will try not to be too elementary school teacher about it for you. So I actually have some of these trays already set up with some pieces.
Great.
So, all right.
All right, well, have fun.
I will.
I'll see you, everyone, in about, 20 minutes?
Yeah, well, feel free to interrupt me if I'm saying something wrong.
Okay, you know how I am.
Okay, it's like this is like being left with the substitute teacher.
No,
it
not
kind
at all.
of is.
You're a real teacher.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh yeah, Logan heard the door open and then it was crazy. All right. So we're going to start off with the basics. So I'm sorry to anybody who already knows about this, and this might be a little bit boring for you, but I think this is going to be fun and hopefully informative. All right, so let's start off with, I'm going to go to, I think actually this is the perfect time for this camera, which we hardly ever use. And sorry, we did have like that accident on the thing. There we go, that's a little bit better. All right, so this is, you know what, I think we're gonna have to be on here. Very good. All right, so this is probably like the most basic piece that you can have. This is a Technic brick, and obviously it's called a Technic brick because it has studs on the top. And I want you to notice that it's got holes in between the studs. And that's something really, really important that you're going to have to remember for later on down the road. So always remember, too, that if when you're talking about a Technic brick like this, there's always going to be one less hole than there is studs. So sometimes I say, I call this, a 1x12, and they're counting holes. And they're like, but there's only 11 holes. But we're talking about studs. All right. I won't dwell too long on that. And it comes in a bunch of different sizes. There's a bunch of different sizes. All right. And again, these also come in a bunch of different colors. This one goes all the way down to a 1x1 with a hole in the middle of it. And I won't go down that rabbit hole, but you'll see how it gets tricky as they get a little bit smaller. All right, so next up, this is what's referred to as a Technic lift arm. And you'll notice that the lift arm doesn't have any studs at all. It also has rounded ends. So it makes it really convenient if you're doing things like working on a truss, some kind of truss. If you use another Technic brick here, the edge of the brick hangs out and causes it to hang below the level of the brick. But when you do it with a lift arm, you can see that the rounded edge keeps that away from there. All right. So let's see. We've got lift arms. Okay, so while we're talking about lift arms, we also have lift arms of different kinds. We have, now at my job, we just call these J-beams. I'm sure they have a very specific name. It's funny, I know you may have heard this before, but I have multiple Lego languages rolling around in my head, and they have become interchangeable in my life. Like, I just call some things, you know, certain things. So this will always be a J-beam because of my job. But you can see, so we've got different sizes, and for the most part, a lot of these ones that have the bent angle have an axle hole in the ends of them. All right, which means it's like this little cross piece. Which brings me to axles. This is an axle. Oh, bye, whoever's leaving. How do you decide to which J-beam to use? Well, that's a whole different that's really going down a bigger rabbit hole than we're going to go down right now. But really, you know, because these are at different angles, if you imagine, let's say we've got our lift arm here, and you want something to be at an angle, you can use this one. But let's say maybe you wanted a slightly different angle, or you wanted more pinholes, you could use this one. And this one obviously is going to give you a straight 90-degree angle. Okay? So anyway, that's just an idea. All right, so we were talking about axles. So this is an axle. Axles come in a bunch of different sizes, and you can tell, I don't know how close up, but you can tell here, but just, even if it's blurry, that it's shaped like a plus sign, right? So it's shaped like a plus sign, and they come in a bunch of different sizes. And I will tell you, if you want to get into Technic, I absolutely encourage you 100%, and I know Richard would agree with me, that you want to organize your axles by size. And because what happens is, like in the instructions from Lego, when you're doing a Technic set, it actually shows you a picture of the axle that you can hold up to, right? You can hold it up to the picture and say, oh, it's this size. Well, how axles are actually measured and how you can tell, and you can see here that I've got them all the way from 2s all the way up to 12s. All right. And there's a little bit long. There's a few longer ones as well, but 12 is one of the bigger sizes. Anyway, so the way that I can tell how big an axle is, if I don't have the book to tell me, is by holding it up to a brick. And if you hold it up to the brick, your axle is the size of the axle is expressed in studs. So this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This would be a number 8 axle, because when you hold it up to the brick, it's 8 studs long. All right? There we go. Axle rows. Yes, Shane, I have rows of axles in here, which now makes it axle rows. Oh, God. Oh my goodness. All right. So one of the things with axles is sometimes you don't have an axle hole, you know, like I was saying before, there's these axle holes. They're shaped like plus signs. Sometimes you want to be able to put an axle through a hole. And how to do that? Well, there's a couple of ways to get an axle through here. And probably the biggest way, and this is a number 10 axle. Oh, and I'm sorry, real quick, when we're talking about sizing, I did want you to notice something. And this is not true 100% across the board. There are absolutely variations. But in general, a Technic axle that is an even number size is black and odd is gray. And again, there are variations, but in general, that's how that works. And then the number 2 axles, which are these, come in black and red. Kind of like, again, there's weird ones. And you can see I've got like a red one in here. But anyway, that's a very general thing to know. All right. So I have my axle, and I've got I've got either my lift arm or my brick here. I've got a brick, and I want to be able to put this axle through here without it falling off. Oh, why does it always wants to make that little magical sound. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but it's like this funny little magic sound every time I change the scene. All right, so I've got my axle, I've got my brick, and I want to hold this in. So what we have is these, which are called bushings. And bushings have a little cross piece, or sorry, a little plus sign shape, right, in the middle. And it fits nice and tightly onto the axle. So now, if I put one on both sides, I can make sure now that this has not going to fall out. I'm going to turn to the side. All right, bushings. So and there are regular bushings, and then we also have these. Whoops. These, which are called half bushings. Because if you can see that, they are half the size of a regular bushing. And what I really like about the half bushings is they actually have a tiny, tiny groove in them, which you can use. You can actually use these as a pulley wheel if you want a really, really small diameter pulley wheel. I'm just going to look at the chat and see if we've got anybody questions. Any questions so far? So I hope I hope this is all making sense and not too basic. I again apologize if it's too basic, but it is called Technic Basics. Another way to hold an axle into the hole of a brick is there are these axles which have now this one ends in a sort of like I call it like a nail head. It's flat. And it fits right into, there's a little tiny groove. I know you can't see it, but there's a little tiny groove around the edge here. And when I drop this in, that nail head keeps it from coming out the other, from falling through. And it fits perfectly in that little groove. So this is completely flat. So there is nothing sticking out this side of it. All right. So we've got there's the nail head style. Then there's this one, which actually ends in a stud. So you can attach whatever to that, right? A plate, add different, all right? And you can add different stuff on it. Sorry, what did that mean? And add different. And then you can add different stuff on the top of it. Then there's also another kind that looks like this. And it has the little cuff on it, again, to keep it from falling through the one side. But this ends in a shorter axle on the other side. All right. And remember when Richard was showing his movement with the 3 movements with the 1 crank, we kind of explained that one of the best things we ever heard when we first started building is that a gear system is always trying to pull itself apart. Like it does not want to be constrained, so you have to constrain it. That's really important. All right, so that is the basics around axles and axle sizes and how they fit. Now, also we have these things, which are called axle connectors. And you can see that we have several different angles. Now, this isn't all the different angles, but there are some of them that are so similar that it is really, really hard to tell what they are. So fortunately, Lego has done the job of numbering these for us, and they each have a number on them. And I apologize, I don't know how the numbers coordinate with what the angle is. But just for instance, this is, and you'll find it printed on this, like on the flat here. This is a number 3, this white one, and this is a number 5. And you can see that they're different angles. And they have a hole in them so that you could essentially like put another one here or attach a million things. And then this one is a number 6, the 90-degree angle. So different ways to attach those. All right, so now, and arguably I should have started with this first, but the next big thing up is pins. So pins is the thing that people seem to be the most confused about because there's so many. There are so many pins. And like knowing what pin to use for what thing. is, let's see. I'm going to show you, here's our pins. This is another thing that I highly suggest that you do if you're going to work with Technic, and that is organize your pins. And I want to talk about some pins in a really, really basic way as much as I can. I tend to fall down rabbit holes, so I apologize. But one of the first things that you need to know about pins, and Technic pins, is that there are two kinds. Okay? There is a kind that has friction, which is the black one, and the kind that has no friction, which is the gray one. All right? Now, that is the most basic pin stuff that you can do, is the friction and non-friction. I'm going to show you what I mean by friction versus non-friction real quick. I'm going to move this. Don't worry, I'll bring it back so we can all ogle at the at the pin some more. Let's see. So we've got this, and I'm going to use a black pin here. And sorry for all the back and forth on the cameras. I just think there's some stuff that you just can't see in the faraway camera, right? So, and I'm also gonna, real quick, just so that everybody can see, I'm gonna brighten this picture up just a little bit. There we go. All right, so I've got a black pin here, and I'm gonna put it in this sort of middle hole of this bent lift arm, and I'm gonna insert this one into here. And you can see that it stays where I put it, right? It's staying there. I can move this around and it's going to stay because it has friction. All right, so there we go. That's friction. And then if this gray one has no friction, so if you want something that spins around, you're going to want to use a gray pin. All right, so that's like the most basic of all pin stuff. Let's go. BMW music. I think non-friction means it's about real life, and friction means it's made up. Something like that. All right, so let's go. There are so many pins, y'all. Like, a ridiculous amount of pins.
Don't be afraid.
But don't be afraid of the pins. Don't be afraid of the pins. Let me see here. Gosh, I have to keep taking and putting on my glasses today. All right. So, yay, look, it's the world's tiniest keyboard. So here's some more pins. So we have these blue ones, and these have an axle on one end. So these are called a pin to axle. All right, and they've got a pin on one side and an axle on the other side, so they can put a pin in here, and that's really what these are. These are pin holes for pins, and you can also use them for axles if you want to spin. But these blue ones have friction. All right, the pin part has friction, and the other part would fit onto something like this. Right. So if you wanted to poke something out from the side like that, you could. Yes.
That's one thing you just said that you might highlight because it's so incredibly useful, is that you can put an axle in a pinhole and it will freely move, like an axle for a car or
right.
whatever. And
yes.
You do that. I know you just said that, but that ends up being used a lot.
Yeah, it is important. If you do want stuff like, especially if you're making wheels for a car or something like that, you want to use an axle because that's what's going to give you your free spinning things. And I can tell you from experience, if you're making a car, make sure your axle goes all the way through from one wheel to the other. That's a thing. No, he was just, Richard was just reminding that, using these, I was talking about pinholes, but these definitely are. You want to use those for axles as well. All right. So we saw the pin to axle. Then we have these. Now these are three long, I don't know what they're technically called, long pins is what we call them, long pins. And what a long pin does, it allows you to attach three things together instead of the standard two. So one end of it has this little cuff that keeps it from going any further than one in. But if you flip it around to the other side, you can push it all the way through, and now you have a pin on both sides, right? And this definitely has friction. Definitely has friction. All right. Then we have the same thing in tan, and these have no friction. All right, so I can spin this around. So there you go, triple pins or long pins. You got blue is frictionful, tan is no friction. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, I forgot about the same thing. Remember I showed you that there was the pin to stud? The blue one, the blue pin to stud has friction. I'm sorry, I apologize. Pin to axle. The blue pin to axle has friction. The tan pin to axle has no friction. All right. So sorry, I kind of hopped over that. Okay, now here's where things. This probably gets a little bit beyond basic, but I did want to show you, like, because one of the things that I find that happens with Technic is I always want to like decorate the outside of it. Like I always want to make it look not. I definitely want to make it not. Oh gosh, now I got distracted because you know why? It's that certain time. It is that certain time. So I'm going to take a little break from pins, and we will invite our special guest that maybe Richard can get our special guest ready.
Guess what I'm gonna do though?
You're gonna close the box of pins?
Box of pins before Logan comes out.
You're not gonna let them teeter on the edge of the table. All right, everybody. Shall we? Is he ready for his big entrance? Okay, here we go, everybody. It's that time of the day. Oh, and there he is. Hi, Logan.
Just jumped right into my elbow. Look, you got a hole in.
All right, it is Logan cookie time.
Okay, good boy. Look right at the camera. Look at his face. Oh, did he miss it?
Oh,
that's
no.
the first time. Okay, Logan, come here. It's the first time he's missed one on air.
Yeah.
Chaos. That was a particularly chaotic Logan cookie time.
It really is a Monday. It really is a Monday.
Here, you get the last little bit. Good boy. All right, glad I could help with that.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, my glasses.
Oh my goodness. All right. Everybody's talking about the face I made. Well, Logan was going for that cookie. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I got to say about that. All right. Let's see. So heading back. I'm going to try to get back on track after that. I think we were talking. Oh, look. Richard left me a note. But I wanted to show you. Oh, yes. We were talking about pins. All right. Bye, Orson. We'll see you later. Okay. All right, so here we're back to talking about pins again. So we were talking about being able to, can we have a video with Logan in it the whole time? That would be hard. He's very hyper. I think that would be a difficult show, but we can certainly try it. Okay, so anyway, so this, we were talking about wanting to be able to decorate the outside of a Technic piece. So what we would use in that case is this, which is a pin to stud. So what that means is I can put a pin on one side, and now I have a stud here on the other side, right? And this comes in different colors. But interestingly, none of them are really, like, neither of them has much friction versus non-friction. I mean, I guess arguably the blue one is a little bit more. And here's a little trick. These pins can be really tough to get out, these pin to studs. So if you need to get it out, you can just take an axle and poke it out from the other side. Super easy. Because believe me, before I learned that, and I know it seems like to make sense, but actually I never thought of it. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, right, of course. I'm like trying to pick it out with my fingernails, which is very different, very difficult. Okay, now here's another thing. If you need a little bit tighter of a grip, there is a pin to like full. I think that was a pin to half stud, and this is like a pin to stud, like a full stud. All right. Then we have these, which are these are two different kinds. One ends in an axle, the other ends in a pin, but they have little toe balls on the end of them, so that you can use it to put on ball joints, right? This will accept a ball cup acceptor on the other side, right? All right. Let's see, what else have we got here? Oh, so this is another kind of pin. Now this is really useful and more useful than I would have thought. So if you have a part of your model that the audience is not going to see, and you need to be able to access it, and you want later down the line to be able to take it apart, this is a great piece to use, especially if nobody's going to be able to see it. I mean, you can also use it if people are going to be able to see it, if you want to use it in that way. But what's nice about this is if I have two pieces put together, I can push this. It's going to go all the way through, and it has a stopper on the end, like a nice big handle, so that if I need to pull that out, I can pull it out, rather than using a regular pin, which is now sandwiched in there and can be very difficult to pull apart if you've got a bunch of stuff connected together. Okay. We also have a double pinned axle, but again, we're going down a road there. But anyway, that's the basics of pins. All right, so that's our pins. So now we talked about pins, we've talked about axles, we've talked about Technic lift arms, and we've also talked about Technic bricks, which are all kind of different things. Hey, Matt English, how's it going? Let's see. I'm gonna have a sip of coffee here real quick. There we go. So I have like all of our Technic stuff is out here right now. I'm just trying to figure out where a couple things are. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. So, remember I was talking about it gets a little weird with Technic brick with hole when they start getting small. So, like I talked about before, these holes are in between these studs, which really you gotta pay attention to, and you'll really see that difference. So, Powered Up is coming out with a new motor that is Technic compatible. And so you'll really notice a difference between the regular motor that's made made with system Lego compatible with system Lego and the one that's made for this, because everything gets to be slightly off, and believe me, it can be a headache sometimes, but you just have to remember, again, you're in between studs, and jump plates come into it a lot. All right, so this is what I mean by starts to get a little bit squirrely when we get down to the smaller ones, because take a look at this. I've got, let me see. So I've got a brick with two holes, a 1x2 brick with two holes, but check it out. The holes are actually even with the studs. So if you're ever building along in Technic and you're trying to connect two pieces together and you're like, oh, this needs to be just a little bit longer, don't use this one if you're planning on connecting them together, because they will be out of system. Out of system. But what these are Richard's laughing in the other room. But what this is good for, actually, is for connecting with this piece, which is a brick that has two pins sticking out of it. So you can get a nice sturdy connection between the two of those. Okay, so there's that. But then, remember I was saying it gets weird. Here's another one, and I'll put them side by side so you can see them, but here's another one. This one has a single hole, and guess what? That single hole is lined up between those two studs. So remember, if you're making an extension and you want it to be in system, you want to use that one. I wish Richard would have been here for that.
What's going on, Flynn?
Nothing. I was being silly. All right, so there you go. All right, so we've got. Oh, and also too, this brick has its counterpart as well. The brick with the pin. All right. All right. Then we go down to the Technic brick, 1x1 Technic brick with a hole, and this one is the technically not in regular Technic system, right? Its hole is lined up directly underneath of the stud. Okay. So let's see. So that's oh, and of course there are also 1x2 bricks with an axle hole. These are really, really handy for connecting pieces together. And I actually used some of these in my Cinderella mech as a way to connect the arms onto the body. So yeah, those are really great pieces. Sometimes, oh yes, thank you, and that's right, that's very good. It pays to mention that actually your humble 2x2 round brick, which so many of us use, actually has an axle hole in the middle of it, which is super helpful. And even just beyond Technic, if you're making trees, put an axle down there. Like if you're making a big tall column of 2x2 bricks, put an axle in there if you've got one. It will definitely help it stay together and keep it from falling apart. That is one thing that Richard insists on. He loves to make sure that we have those really straight. We did a whole forest of brown trees, and they were just like falling apart, and then we figured that out, and yeah. Okay, so yeah, the round brick. And also the taller round bricks. Some of them have, and some of them don't. It depends. Okay? All right, so sometimes, though, you don't always want a... Okay, so remember we talked about this 1x2 brick with a pin sticking out of it. We also have a 2x2 brick with a pin sticking out of it. And you sometimes see these used in the older car models as a way to attach wheels. And it is a good way to attach wheels, but look what else it has. An axle hole in the middle. So if you have the opportunity to put if you have a place where you need something to be sturdy and you've stacked two bricks on top of each other that have an axle hole, take advantage of it and put an axle in there. Right? All right. So, and so sometimes though you don't want a pin going out horizontally and you don't want to necessarily build sideways. So there's these great pieces. They are 1 tile tall, right? Like the same height as a tile or a plate. And it's got a pin in the center of it. So now you could build up from there with a pin. So that is the sort of weird particulars of all these little things, and really it is so important to remember that about the when you get down to the smaller bricks, about making sure that if you're connecting things together, you're connecting the ones that have got the the holes in between the studs, or you will find yourself in big trouble. Okay, so what's interesting and fun about Technic math is that if you know, and we've talked a lot here about snot math. So like the space that you need between snot. So if you stack snot pieces next to each other, you can absolutely put a plate across. And I'm going to move over to this one actually. If you put snot pieces together horizontally, you can absolutely put a plate across them. But if you're stacking snot pieces on top of each other, as we've talked about before, you have to have like an X number of plates or bricks in between. Okay? And the formula is 2 plates, 2 bricks in a plate, and then 4 bricks. And that's for what goes in between. So meaning, and I apologize, I didn't grab my snot pieces out because I forgot we would need to talk about this. But here we go. So, oh, I was on the wrong camera. This is what happens. All right, so I can fit a plate across those. And you know what else I can fit across these? A lift arm or a Technic brick, because these studs actually fit tightly into these holes. So check it out. There's a way to go from snot to a Technic, and it's actually it's a really tight fit, right? A really tight fit. Look, I can do it on the top too, right? So just something to remember. And you'll have an easier time if you're trying to do something like that. You'll have an easier time doing it with a lift arm because, again, of the thing with the edges. Okay, yes, it definitely has super clutch power, like really, really tight, like tighter than usual connections. Okay, so sorry. So we were talking about, yes, this way works, and then if I want to stack these on top of each other, and then have it be in system vertically, I have to either put 2 plates in between this, 2 bricks and a single plate between it, or 4 total bricks between it if I want this to be in system. So what's great about that is it's the exact same formula for Technic. So a Technic hole is in the same place as a snot stud. So you know that when you attach something to a snot piece, it's got like there's a little gap underneath. But when you connect a snot piece to a Technic piece, it fits perfectly flat on the bottom. But look what happens on top. Do you see what's going on here? I've got studs in between my other studs. Oh, and I'm just noticing now something I didn't mention before when we were talking about decorating is that you'll notice that Technic bricks do have a stud with a hole in them. So you can put little, anything that'll fit into that hole, you can pop into the top of there. Wow, that is really tight. It is super clutch power. Anyway, so that is always something that you always want to make sure you remember if you want to. So let's say you're building a big wall. And it's going to be really, really tall, and you need to be able to make sure it's not just going to bend in half. A really great idea to do is to support it from behind by building Technic bricks into it. So let's say your wall is a 2x4 brick thick. So every few rows, you can build in a Technic beam, right, and 1x's here. All right. And you'll be able to build that in. And then if you always follow the rule, and for building a wall, it's easier just to do the 4 bricks. So you do Technic beam, 4 bricks, 4 rows of bricks, another Technic beam, 4 rows of bricks, another Technic beam, right? And you do that all the way up. Then you'll be able to attach those all with lift arms or bricks, if all you have is bricks, all the way up the wall, providing vertical support for that wall. So that's why that Technic, that's one of the reasons why that Technic math is so important. And that's definitely something we learned when we were doing Snake Queen, and we were doing trusses, and we were trying to connect vertical and horizontal Technic together and making sure that it was all together. And it was really it was a really important lesson to learn. So if there's anything that you take away from this today, besides the and frictionless pins and the sizes of axles, it would be that, knowing that math is the same. All right. So let's see what we got here. Golly, so I'm afraid of going too far, and this is supposed to be a basics class, and I'm afraid that we're going a little too far down a road. But I feel like that part is definitely. But I'm like looking at the parts. Ah, here we go. Here's a box. This is fun because you get to see all of our Technic storage. Now these are. Yes.
Can I bug you for a second?
What's up?
Something that's cool.
You have to come in here though, or they can't hear you.
I couldn't help but butt in for a second. There's something coming up that I think is very, very, very helpful for mocks. And it goes along with that thing about the 2x2 round brick having a Technic hole, a Technic axle hole in the middle of it. Is sometimes you need to have axles or other Technic constructions coming vertically out of the base of your model. And that can be like, if you look at all these beams, how do you do that? And the stuff he's about to talk about can be so helpful in mocks, whether you really think about them as Technic mocks or not.
There you go.
I think.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely. So some of these are, some of these pieces are not basic pieces, so I'm not going to go too far into... I'm not going to go too far into it, but these are Technic plates. So if you're wanting to have an axle vertically, this is the way to. I mean, if you want that vertically, this is the piece to use. So imagine if you were doing something, let's say with gears, you'd be able to stack up some bricks, have your gear, underneath, and you'd be able to put this down. So these are really helpful in going 90 degrees with your axle connection, or with your gear connection. Sorry about that. All right, so I think we're at the, wow, I don't know why we keep getting that weird magic sound. I swear it makes me think of the, when we used to have those Disney records where they read the story and then Tinkerbell would like do her little bell and that's when you were supposed to turn the page into the accompanying thing. So silly. So yes, we've got, so that's our thing about Technic plates. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so this is maybe going a little far, but I think we can go here today, and then maybe we're gonna stop it here, just because we have, again, I know we talked about our super secret project, but we have our super secret project that we have to work on today. So we want to get that finished up, and of course, we would want Richard to be here for more of this Technic talk, especially when we start to get really complicated. But oh, they still make them just on CD. Wow, they still make them on CDs. You just read 3 with my kid yesterday. I loved that. That was great. Oh, what is that now? What is illegal? You're not allowed to build anything that uses that. Anything connected to the holes in TechnicBricks has to be separate from the main model. Well, there you go. There's something to learn. It is technically an illegal technique. I've showed you oh no, I'm going to be fired.
What, that tight connection?
Yeah, apparently it's, yeah, well, there you go. Okay, so, and whatever, right? Like, it's your model, do what you're gonna do. Like, if you are the type of person that really wants to follow all those rules, then by all means, you should absolutely do so. I find if it works, I will use it. That's my thing. Okay. So these are gears and pulley wheels. So these pulley wheels are super useful, not only as pulleys, because you can see they have the little groove in them, so you can use them as a pulley wheel. If you don't want to, let's say you don't have chain and you want to connect two things together, pulley wheels, or like transfer power from one to the other, pulley wheels are a really great way to do that. And I'll quickly just go over the sort of different types of gears. So these are your sort of more regular flat gears, although I notice a lot of our flat gears aren't in here because I think they're all being used currently in different things, and they come in various sizes. These are called beveled gears. Now, I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but the one of the differences between one of the things about between the flat and the bevel is flat gears will not allow you to go 90 degrees. So if you want to go 90 degrees, you're going to need to either use one of these beveled gears, right? Or you're going to want to use a combination of these, which are, now I understand they are flat. I just said not the flat gears, but I meant not these flat gears. Is one of these gears and this little tiny gear, these will mesh together 90 degrees. Now the advantage of using, well, buy orange bricks, see you later. This is going to give you much smaller space. So if you're tight on space, you can use this combination of gears to go 90 degrees. And there's also this one, right? This is a good combination. You can also do and then now the downside of it is you only have this size. So you're going to have to do some gearing up or down. With the bevel gears, you have kind of a variety of sizes to choose from. So you can do a little bit more specific gearing up and down. And, you know, we'll do a whole class on gears, because my goodness, that's a whole, that's a whole other thing. These pieces, which I know people, you see these in a lot of sets used for various things, but what's cool about them is these actually can be gears, and I've seen them used as gears, a very, very simple gear mechanism that meshes together. So those are, in fact, gears. This is, over here in this little section. Now, we've talked about these before. This is what's called a worm gear. And you would use a worm gear if you wanted to really, really slow down your gearing quickly without having to like transfer to a bunch of different gears. And you really need to have a gearbox. And I thought I had pulled one out, but I'm not sure what happened to it. Anyway, that's probably for another day anyway. But yeah, so this is, the what?
A gearbox helps.
A gearbox helps.
You can do it other ways, but the gearbox makes it really easy.
Right. So you've got, and then this is the gear that will fit in with it. Right. And when you get those gearboxes, it specifically fits this gear and then the little worm gear. Golly. And then these, I know we've talked about these before. This is a rack gear, and it's called a rack gear because it's flat, like a rack. And you remember that Richard used this to move his mouse back and forth in his mock. Okay. So pretty cool. Here's our cams, which we did a whole thing about cams. Right? Will the worm gear work on the rack gear? You know what? I don't know, Michael. I've never tried that, but that's an interesting...
Think so?
They do fit together, so I guess they would work.
Yeah, if you want to move a rack really slowly.
Actually, I don't know. I don't think so, because it would have to be this way for it to... Is that it? I mean, they fit.
It'll move it back.
It will move it back and forth. Okay, there you go.
Then you have to manage an axle really close to the rack.
Yeah, that would be the danger. And actually, let's see. We have... Well, I had an axle here.
But now I want to do that.
Yeah, I want to try that too, but check this out. Well, you know, it is really tight. I don't know, like, if it would... It doesn't feel like it, though. There's just that tiniest of gaps.
Oh, I know.
In between.
I know the issue with this.
Oh, what is the issue with this?
How tight was that axle in the worm gear? You may introduce a huge amount of friction. Is it loose or tight?
It's loose this way, but it's tight this way.
Oh.
Yeah.
That could be cool. I want to try that.
Yeah. Anyway, Moto says it's probably illegal because he thought of doing it. And there actually is another kind of gear called a crown gear. And I'll show you, and I'm actually not super up on my crown gears, but this is definitely like a... it's got teeth that stick up or down, depending. I haven't really used it. So, there you go. All right. Well, actually, I think that just about wraps it up for our Technic basics talk today. I think getting too much further down the road would be difficult. But I hope some things that I hope we reviewed that we learned today. Oh wow! Now I sound like I just slipped into teacher mode. Some things that I hope that people took away from today is the difference between a Technic brick and a Technic lift arm, or you can call it I don't know, different people call them different things, right? That you learned how to tell the size of an axle, which is by holding it up against studs to see how long or short it is. Short it is, and definitely want to make sure organize those axles and pins. You will be so much happier if you do. Like, it just makes life so much easier and really, really cuts down on hunting things down. We talked about axles, we talked about bushings, we talked about ways to different things that you can put into the holes of a beam or a brick, or I'm sorry, a lift arm or a brick. And we talked about the different pins, and the one big thing that I hope you take away about pins is the most basic of pins, the two-sided pins. Black has friction, gray does not have friction. You will find it very, very helpful. I mean, even though it may seem like, oh, well, all I'm doing is just sticking these two things together, I'll just use a gray one. It's not a tight fit. It's not going to be as tight, so definitely use a black one when you're doing that. And the last thing I hope that you take away from this is the placement of the holes vertically, and remember that the math for that is just like snot pieces, okay? Just like snot pieces. 2 plates, 2 bricks in a plate, 4 bricks. And when I say that, I mean that is what goes between your first Technic brick and your next Technic brick. It's either going to be 2 plates, 2 bricks in a plate, or 4 bricks in between. Right? Cool. So I just looked like crazy psychotic right then. Sorry. I made my eyes all big because I was trying to make a point or a punctuation. It just didn't work out. I just looked crazy instead.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
What's
I got
that?
a bunch of stuff drawn, so I want to come back and say goodbye to everyone.
Oh, awesome. Very good. Very good.
I made a bunch of pesky lines go away.
Very good. So, yeah, I know, like I said, I know a lot of you probably already know a lot about Technic, and thanks for hanging in there and checking out. I know there's a lot of new people that learned some important new stuff today, some new terms, new parts, I hope.
We learned we're going to try worm gears on rack gears.
Yeah, worm gears on rack gears. That's a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know quite how it would be used, but it's I need to really slow rack gear. Yeah. So hey, don't forget we are having our weekly build. We are having our weekly build challenge, and this week our weekly build challenge the theme is mythology, and you can make anything you want from mythology, whether it is a scene or a figure or an object or something, you know, like maybe you're going to make the Perseus's sandals with the wings on the back of them.
Could be anything.
Or
worldwide.
Yeah, or a unicorn, or...
And if you know of interstellar mythology, that's game too.
Calling occupants of interplanetary craft.
Now we have to listen to that.
Oh, yeah, we do. All right.
Right after the stream, we're listening to Calling Occupants.
And then, gosh, now I forgot. Oh, yeah, so make sure it's one photo, 2 to 3 sentence description. When you're taking your photo, have the light behind you facing the model. Try to get the model as close as you can. And now I'm going to add an extra one on. If you have a piece of paper or a blanket or something that you can add on as a backdrop. Oh,
yeah, sure.
Especially if that backdrop is a different color than the model that you're making, it'll be easier for it to stand out. Not saying you have to do that. It's just another tip.
It helps. And the photos have been so good, really good photos, too. Hey, so if you like today's talk about Technic and you want more, if you want us to go deeper into any particular topic, let us know. Right?
Yeah, email us. That's what the email is for.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's we have lots to learn about it, but we've also learned a bunch of stuff making the things we have, so we're happy to share that. But we want to share stuff you want to hear.
Yeah, and we've got Oh golly, I skipped viewer mail. Well, we'll have to move. We'll move it to tomorrow, which actually because it's kind of involved with tomorrow. But I just want to say, Drew,
viewer mail,
and I'm calling it viewer mail because he left it on top of our mailbox. So, anyway, so thank you for that. If you don't forget, if you want to send us snail mail, postcards, pictures that you made or whatever that we can show here on our viewer mail segment, you can send to Flynn Richard, P.O. Box 11517, Oakland, California 94611. If you want to support the stream, you can do that via Patreon. And thank you to all our current Patreon subscribers and a new Patreon subscriber, Bill Ward. Thank you very much.
Yay!
And this is, we will not be here tomorrow.
No,
right? We're not going to be here tomorrow because it's Tuesday. So you're right. Golly, does anybody else feel like the days are just like it's all just one long day?
The calendar is helping me out because I don't know otherwise.
Yeah. So tomorrow, Wednesday.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that?
Little boost of enthusiasm right at the denouement.
It was that last sip of coffee. It just pushed me over the end of the finish line. So you can get a hold of us there. If you want to support the stream, you can do so via Patreon. If you want a TrickyBricks coffee cup or a Logan Cookie Time button or T-shirt, you can check out our Redbubble store. Just make sure you do it from the link below. Because people have stolen our artwork.
Yeah, and in the next few days this week, we're going to add some more colors. So like Logan Cookie Time coffee cup will be more colorful and all that.
Every day is Tuesday. I wish every day was Tuesday. Anyway, thank you everybody so much for joining us today. I hope that that you had a good time and you learned some stuff.
Hopefully. Flynn's a good teacher, right? I wish he was my, when I was in elementary school or kindergarten, can you imagine having Flynn as your teacher? That'd be awesome.
I know. Who's this weirdo? Like walk in with my tattoos. The kids are always like, what's going on? And trying to deflect conversation from them is always interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
do they just outright ask you about them? I think
some of them
that's
do.
The best policy, right?
Some of them do. Yeah, they do. But I don't know. I want to encourage the kids to go home and be like, my teacher says I should get a tattoo, which I would never say.
Of course you wouldn't say that.
It was awesome. Yes, Moto brings up the point that if you say thunder pants like Thundercats, it gets even better. It does thunder, thunder, thunder pants.
I have the tiny remnants of my Thundercats Velcro wallet in the other room.
Oh.
Had Lion-O right on the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It was awesome.
So so gear, Gears is again we were talking about Gears might be a whole, but maybe that'll be our next thing.
That's a whole discussion. Right?
It is a whole discussion, but it is kind of I think moving on from what we just talked about basics. We can do gear basics, and then we can start getting into some more difficult things. I'm really excited about these Monday shows.
It's fun
stuff. And we are obviously we've been doing the show for a while, and it's evolving. And changing and becoming different things. We've got our Sunday group chat now. We now have our regular feature with showing the slideshow on Fridays, which is starting to kind of take over the Friday show, which I'm totally fine with and love. But I think those are some of our most viewed shows, actually, the ones where we show everybody's work, which I think is great.
Yeah, and the Mech Challenge had a huge response.
Oh my gosh, it had a huge response. So please send in your entries, Flynn at TrickyBricks.com by Thursday. Don't forget about that. And if you're new, subscribe to this to the stream. If you've subscribed to the stream and you want to get notifications, hit that bell button.
Where is it? Where's the bell button?
I don't.
Down on the bottom of the screen somewhere. Well, our stuff is flipped left to right. We don't know which way. Stage left, stage right. Who knows?
I don't know where it's gonna go.
Yep.
Could you talk about what would be a good starter pack for small Technic? Make system things move, please. Okay, you know what? We'll talk about that.
We'll look at some sets because I would suggest, I don't know which set yet. We'll look at some different ones, but probably getting a set because it's so, you learn how the pieces work together, and then you see the piece move afterwards, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why the wheel did that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we will look into that and see what would be a good little a little starter pack for people.
We did it the hard way. Flynn got me 20 pounds of bulk brick like a month after we started. And it had like this deep of Technic in the bottom of it, and we didn't know what anything was. I was like, this isn't Lego. Is this Lego?
Yeah. Yes, taking apart Technic is a nightmare. And of course, putting all those they are the tiniest of the tiny pieces, except for like, 1x1 rounds. And of course there are smaller pieces, but really they're just like, and they're ubiquitous. Like you open up a container and there's a pin.
You know what?
Somewhere.
Where's our axle or our brick separator? Do we have one?
Golly, I don't know.
Oh, we usually have one.
Well,
but that little rabbit hole there was a brick separator has an axle right on it, so you can use it to push axles out.
Yes, yeah, we talked a little bit about how to push pins out, and yes, you can. I think somebody did mention, maybe Wilfred mentioned, you can use the brick separator, little axle, to push pins out too.
See, I miss things. I miss things.
When you're in the other room, I know. And so one thing I wanted to tell you about for Wednesday is we are still going to be doing the haunted house. I know we talked about hoping to start Monkey Kid this week, but I don't think it's going to happen. We're going to finish the haunted house and motorize it. And that would be Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday, of course, we have our slideshow.
Wow, we have a schedule.
I have some kind of schedule. But where were we going with that? No, I've forgotten.
We're talking about...
Oh, yes. Drew, in his viewer mail, was kind enough to reconstruct... Yeah. You'll probably remember I was pointing out the cool little Pharaoh's head build that is part of the haunted house.
Yeah.
And I had already built it into the wall. Well, Drew was kind enough to build... a sample version that I can now take apart and show y'all how it was built on Wednesday.
Oh, that's so fun.
Thank you, Drew, so much for that. I'm sure everybody will will love that. And yes, and all the are they the good guys, the bad guys?
I know, they're not smiling. None of them are smiling. Well, Wolverine arguably has a grimace, at least.
Exactly. Well, thanks everybody so much for joining us. Well, please join us again on Wednesday at 10 a.m. where we're gonna finish up that haunted house and hopefully motorize it. And actually, the motorizing is not going to take that much, I noticed.
No, not at all.
And we'll look at a little bit of that Pharaoh's head build. So until then, please have a really great couple of days. Have a great day off from us tomorrow. And we will stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.